If you have decided PC gaming is for me, I just need to figure out how to buy a rig and what to do, this is the video for you. Hello and welcome back to Gears and Tech. Today, we are going to walk you through everything that I do with buying a used computer, in this case specifically for the purpose of gaming. Now I know there's a lot of consoles out there. I've made a lot of videos about my PlayStation 5, and I made a video recently comparing PlayStation 5 to this exact computer. If you have decided PC gaming is for me, I just need to figure out how to buy a rig and what to do, this is the video for you. I'm gonna walk you through all of the things that I do when I'm trying to find a used computer. Hey, before we get too far into this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. If you have been to this channel at least one time before, that means that this is your second time and you are still not subscribed. Obviously, you're enjoying this content. Obviously, YouTube wants you to see this content because you're seeing it again. We have a lot of return visitors, but we're not getting the subscribers like we hoped we would. We're counting on you to subscribe so we can make better content. So, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button and the bell. This algorithm will just get blown out of the water and it'll just tell the whole world, I like this video. And with that, let's get back to the content. There are a number of options available to you. Option number one is pre-built, which this is a pre-built computer. So you can go buy a brand new pre-built computer, which a lot of times is actually going to be the same price or a little bit less than if you build it yourself. In my case, we bought pre-built used. So somebody else bought this as a pre-built. I found them on Facebook Market, and then I bought it as a used computer. I will explain why I did that. The other option would be to build your own computer, or you could look at a laptop. I'm gonna stay away from laptops for this video. Part of the reason for that is gaming laptops have a significant jump in price, and they have a significant bottleneck in performance unless you're willing to pay that significant price. If you're looking for a budget gaming PC, this one was reasonably inexpensive. I will tell you the price in a minute after I tell you the specs. First off, I'm gonna open this up so you can see it. This is inside the computer. Already you can see I've got some sweet RGB in there, which every gaming computer needs to have. Let's run through the specs. This computer is a pre-built. It is made by iBuyPower. It is the Slate 9200 model. This was made by iBuyPower and it was available through Amazon as a distributor. The purchase price on this was $1,499 US. Now that was about a year and a half ago when it was new. I did not pay that much. I'll tell you what I paid, but hold on. The processor on here, it has an i7 8700K processor. I'm gonna show you my top secret tip. I'm gonna show it to you right now. So there's this website that I use. It's called User Benchmark, cpu.userbenchmark.com. You can see that up here. I don't know the processor specs. The numbers used to make sense. Now they don't. They've kind of started to make sense again, but if you're just getting into the gaming space, you really won't know. Is 8700K any good? I don't know. If you don't know, go to this site. And usually what I do, I'm looking at upgrading. So I know what the processor I have right now is. I want to know, is this processor that much better? In my example, I have a Core i5 2500K processor, which is a few years old. I've had the computer for a while. Now I'm looking to upgrade. When you go here, you can punch in your comparison. So this one has an 8700K. Now right off the bat, you're going to see it tells you right here kind of what the pricing is. The important thing here is the cores. So this says that this new processor has 6 cores, 12 threads at 3.7 gigahertz, and it came out in 2017. So it's still kind of an older processor, and that's why the price has dropped. My old processor was a 2500K. It had 4 cores, 4 threads at 3.3 gigahertz. Now, if I scroll down here a little bit, this is the part that's going to tell you everything you need to know, especially in the gaming space. It gives you user benchmarks, and it's based on, in my case, 689,000 users. This is what their ranking was. It gives you a score based on the total number of processors that are in their database. So currently they have 1,316 processors in their database. That doesn't matter. Right now, what I want to know is, this is speed ranked 49th out of all 1,316 processors. Whereas my old 2500K is only ranked 250th. That's not bad. It's not like 1300th place, but it's not 49th. Now, the better part here is they rank the gaming, the desktop, and the workstation capabilities. You'll notice that your processor, the 2500K, is ranked at 74% for gaming. You may be able to squeeze another year or two out of your processor because the GPU is what really is going to do the gaming performance, but you do need a good processor to help with the background tasks and stuff. So in this case, this processor is the one for me. It's a 92% for gaming, 94% for desktop, and in my case, I use this as a video editing machine as well, so it's 83%. That touches on another point. If you're not doing it for dedicated gaming and you want to do it for other tasks like office tasks, the thing to look for is more cores and more threads. If you're using software like Photoshop, you're using Premiere Pro, you're using After Effects, they love to have more cores, more threads at a fast clock speed. So this 6-core 12-thread is actually very capable as a 4K editing machine, as well as doing gaming. If you scroll down, it will tell you how they ranked all this stuff and give you, it's just more interesting for you to kind of geek out over. It does tell you some interesting things there, like your L2 cache size, your bus speed, and all of that. So, I mean, those are just numbers that don't really matter a whole lot though. So I wouldn't get too caught up in all of those. Just know that these numbers right here are kind of the condensing of all the goodness and spitting it out as a number so that you know. The lower the number in the ranking, the better it is. Next up, the GPU. This has a NVIDIA GTX 1070, which is a bit of an older card. We have seen the 1070 comes out, we've seen the 20 series come out, and we've seen the 30 series come out. So this is 3 generations old at this point. However, if you compare specs of video cards, the 1070 is not bad. How do I know if I'm getting a good video card? Well, they're easier to figure out, especially if you're looking at NVIDIA, because they follow in order. 1050 is kind of a low-end 10 spec, 1070 is a little higher, 1080 is the highest. In the 20 spec, you've got a 2060, you've got a 2660, you've got a 2070, and a 2080. In the 30 series, you've got a 3080 or a 30 whatever, and then they add supers and TIs and OCs and all that. But how do you know really how one compares to the other, especially if you're looking at like an AMD card versus an NVIDIA card? Well, the good news is, at User Benchmark, they have this handy dandy GPU button. So we are on the CPU, you just click GPU. Now in this case, I'm going to compare my GTX 1070. Let's say the other one's got a GTX 1660. Now we can find out that the 1660 was actually released in 2019. It's a newer card. Is newer better? This says gameplay footage. In CSGO, you're gonna get about 251 frames per second. In GTA 5, you're gonna get about 87 frames per second. In Fortnite, 116 frames per second. And it compares it. If you bought the one with the 1660, you would get only 101 frames per second, or 79, or 83, or 72, or 221. 1070 seems better already. Now, if we look here, you can see this is user benchmarks. Now, these are benchmarks based on, similar to the CPU, they're based on user benchmarks, and it's compared against other GPUs. So in this case, there's 666 GPUs in the database, and the 1070 ranks 55th place, whereas the 1660 rates 66th place, which means that the 1070 is a slightly better card. So all things being equal, if the processor is roughly the same, and this has a 1070 and the other one has a 1660, and the price is roughly the same, this is the better machine to get. It's a lot of comparing, but sites like this help you to make sure you're comparing. And you can do this for any video card and compare the two to see. You just figure out price versus performance. The memory on this is 8 gigabytes. Again, it doesn't matter, it is what it is. So if your video card is a 1070, it's got 8 gigs, it's got 8 gigs. Who cares? Focus more on the video card itself, and the other specs will take care of themselves. Now this one was rated at 16 gigabytes of system RAM. When I brought it home, the guy told me, yeah, it's all on one stick, 16 gigs, one stick. And I'm like, that's really weird. Like, that's really weird, but whatever. When I got home and booted it up, it only had 8 gigabytes. It's a good idea when buying a used computer, boot it up, watch it work. If you can, take a stress test on a USB stick so you can run PC Benchmark, or you can run some sort of a graphical test, because they may have cooked the video card. It will boot up and show you stuff, but as soon as you start to heat it up, you might get graphical glitches and stuff. So you got to be aware of that. So it didn't have the RAM that it said it did. So I spent another 120 bucks, got this sweet RGB RAM, added 32 gigabytes. So now I've got 40 gigabytes of RAM in here, which is plenty for what I'm using it for. I've got a 240 gigabyte SSD, which is right here, and it has a 1 terabyte hard drive on the back, which is just in the back of the case. The outputs on this are pretty standard. It's got HDMI, it's got DVI, it's got DisplayPort, it's got lots of them. I actually run a dual monitor setup, so I have one on DisplayPort and one on HDMI, and it works quite well for my purposes. You're not gonna do 4K gaming with this, or if you do, you're gonna be taxing it quite a lot. So if we go to PC Game Benchmark, be prepared for pop-ups. This site runs ads like crazy. It annoys the heck out of me, but at least it lets you enter your data in here. So I'm running Windows. You can tell it your processor type. In this case, it's 8700K. It'll pop it up and say, is that it? Yes, it is. My graphics card is a 1070. It'll say, is it a TI? No, it's not. It's just a 1070. And then it'll ask me about my memory. This is asking about system memory. Again, I told you I've got 40 gigabytes. I'm gonna pick 32 because it's lower than what my system has. So if anything, it'll run better, not worse. So you don't wanna pick 64 and then you can't do it because you don't actually have 64. And then you can click on Rate My PC, and this spits out this handy dandy little rating here. So this PC is rated 93% for these specs. It tells me right here, you can run 925 of the top 1,000 most popular games listed on PC Game Benchmark at least a recommended system level. And then it also tells me the weakest link in your system is actually your graphics card, which we knew. We knew that the processor can handle plenty of performance on here. The video card is what would need to be upgraded. And then there's a little button here, which games can you run? Now you can push this and it'll go through. It'll say you can run this game, you can run this game. If there's a specific game you're looking for, right now it's sorted by popularity. So it'll say GTA 5, I can run that. I can run Valorant, I can run Battlefield 2042, I can run Warzone, I can run Far Cry 6, I can run Genshin Impact, I can run Fortnite, FIFA 22, Deathloop. Current gen game, just released, and this will run it. So this is a few-year-old system. It's gonna run Battlefield just fine. So if you have a specific game you wanna run, you can look it up on here. After you punch your specs in, it'll tell you. The question then comes down to, where do you look for a PC? So the easy places are Craigslist, Facebook Market. If you have Kijiji in your area, Kijiji is a good place. You could try eBay, but it's harder to test the system out. A lot of people will just take old parts, build a system, and then sell it for a profit because they just have parts lying around. So it might be okay. A lot of them, if they give you a warranty, you'll be really good. But at least now you know. If you're looking for a PC, you have the tools you need to at least check your specs, at least check what you're trying to do, and at least figure out what the price range of those PCs will be based on the specs that you're coming across in your price range. Now, this computer was purchased for 700 Canadian dollars. That's about 500 US dollars. If you're wondering, should I buy a gaming PC, and can a cheap gaming PC run current games and be a good system to use? The answer is yes. This is a very capable machine, exactly how it is, and it has a lot of upgradability. If I wanted to, I could spend $500 or $600, throw a newer video card in, and it would breathe new life into it. The RAM is good, the memory is good, the hard drive is good, the CPU is good, the cooling is good, everything is good. Just the video card will need an upgrade probably in the next 3 years from now before it will not be playing those games really anymore. It'll buy me some time before I spend $2,000 on a machine. Remember, this was a $1,500 machine and I got it for 500 bucks. So I got it for $1,000 off only because it's a few years older and it works perfectly. I hope that helped you out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe down below. In the comments, tell me, what do you think of this computer? Did I get a bad deal? Are you finding deals like that? Don't forget to check out our other videos over here. We do have a lot of great content in the back library. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.